I'm working on the 92 Ford Taurus that I have. Really easy car to work on for a lot of basic maintenance, which everybody like kind of avoids. I mean, one bolt, the airbox comes out. You use the module tool, the 5.5 millimeter tool by hand. I got all four of them out. Got the distributor out. I got all like a bunch of new stuff. I'm not even gonna bother with an old module and an old distributor, brand new. I got both. The one pipe for the rear is coming in the front here for the oxygen sensor, and they came right out. I mean, nothing like the new cars that are always like a pain in the neck. And I even bought, just because it was probably cheaper than buying just a gasket, I got a new thermostat and a new housing. And it looks like a little bit of a cheesy housing, to be honest. Like the old one, might very well be better quality, but it's actually the same kind of light shit anyway. I could save it. I don't have to throw it away. But of course, you take out 3 bolts, and something has to go bad. So that bolt broke off, of course. You always want to get one of these guys if you can. Try to get it in the middle. It makes a little point there. And then I'm going to drill this out and see if I can get it out. I'm going to have to heat it up. I'll see if I can get it out with an easy out, and if not, I got to just drill it and tap it or helicoil it or something like that. But always something. But I tell you, in 10 minutes I had all the plugs out. I mean, it's super easy to work with this car. It really is, because you look at it, oh my god, look at the motor, and then you go back here, it's like there's tons of room. You can get to all the plugs back here, Sorry, I don't have the light on. But I literally got it all apart in 10 minutes. I got both oxygen sensors out, and I got all the plugs, the distributor, everything out in 10 minutes. And then I had to do something. I was researching something online. There's the cap, the old cap. And then I said, let me get back to work. I found some parts. I started taking it apart and snap. So I'll see how this goes. All right. So you can see that doesn't look very good. I just barely got the bolt out. What happened was it was veering off. Ford bolts are very tough. I've always noticed that. And they just don't want to move. I mean, you see that little tip though? I was able to grab it after I loosened it up, because I ended up using a step bit, and that's why it looks bigger here in the front. Kind of a mess. So I was either going to epoxy a stud in there, but I got to catch threads, of course. But I'm going to put a this is what I ended up pulling out. As you can see, the bolt, the drill bit veered off. I did cut into it, but it came out sideways and poked the aluminum. So I'm going to get a 6 millimeter helicoil. That should get outside the barriers of that and still be able to drill it centered. So I'll see if I can fit a bolt again. I think I could. And it's only that big, the helicoil, because that's all it needs to be. You don't need to catch threads more than the width of the bolt. So if this is 6 millimeters, you don't need to go much more than 6 millimeters of threads, which is 4 or 5 threads probably. That's it. That's what constitutes holding a bolt, properly. That being said, it's shitty, what are you gonna do? But I should be able to drill that out and put the helicoil in without much issue. And that's what I'm gonna do now. I'm gonna run over and get it. So I'm getting through. Just a little quick thing. Sometimes you can't find the right size thing to hold the tap, or it's just a weird size. This one happens to be 1/4 inch, so you can use your 1/4 inch drive socket. So I did that. I was putting this 1/4 inch drive socket on there, and that's 10 millimeter. And then I use 10 millimeter Allen. So that's a good trick to do something like this if you don't have room for a T-handle, or you're a slob like me and you can't find shit. So just little tip. And sometimes you can put a little bit of a bigger size, and it'll still work, So, and I'll get this done. Try to find some red Loctite and put it on the little sleeve there, and hopefully this won't be so bad. And probably would have been even better if I just epoxied a stud in there, screw it in still to the thing, but epoxy a stud perhaps might have been a little bit better, especially since it does seem like it's like barely catching. So we'll see what happens. We'll see how muffed up it is in the end. But I think there's enough threads. Come on. It's definitely weird. But alright, I'll make another video after. Remember I said this is the original here. It really don't look bad. Those holes are really clogged up, and that's why the bolt broke off. Although that wasn't the bolt, it was actually this one. But this guy here is new. But you can tell, it looks, you could just see in the camera even, it doesn't look like this is an even seal. But when I put the thermostat in and the little thing goes there, it's made by the Taiwanese. Imagine going crazy if it was broken. Then I'd have to die grind this out. I guess that wouldn't be such a big deal. But I gather if it was flat like this one, then it would work. You know, but this is more of a proper one, and it's a better one. But this one fits in there just fine. Why can't they make it like the original? I don't know. But honestly, this one looks like a better quality piece, so I'm going to use it. So I'll have that for a backup. You know, it should be fine. I just got to clean it up now. All right, took a 1/4 inch drill bit that I used for the tap before I used the tap, and cleaned out the holes, cleaned everything up. It looks pretty good. This is like, this has some weight to it actually. I don't think it's quite as heavy, but this is just like this was obviously cast in a styrofoam cast, you know. It may be better than I'm giving it to be, but they should have made this smoother. You know, they should have tried to do something, but you know, they machined this, but they didn't. You know, this just had to be die grinded to get it right. But I'm just gonna reuse the old one. It lasted 30 years. It'll do another 30. And I had a bolt, but it really wasn't. It was too long. I didn't have anything between. I wanted to put a new bolt. Sorry, my phone shut off. So I didn't have a proper size bolt, and I wanted the new bolt to be where the new thing was, so it didn't, like, some of these threads could be a little bit pounded or have too much dirt in them, you know, even if I cleaned it out really well. I just did this, you know, I added a nut to it with a little lock washer. Should be fine, you know, and you know, it'll be the right length then at the end. But I didn't think about it, or else I would have bought another one, but I got it. It's fine. I'm not worried about it. Well, got the bolt in. Kind of looks funny. Or it looks funnier than I thought it would. But it, you know, looks like the threads got a little bit hammered, but as long as it's tight, it's fine. And it's tight, believe me, squeeze the gasket out. You know, all 3 bolts are tightened. And I went pretty hard on that, you know, so it'll be fine. Sometimes the biggest problem with a new distributor is the way they index it. Now, by that I mean is like where everything is. So basically, where I pulled out the distributor, this oval hole was just slightly away from that tooth. And it's okay to be slightly away because it's only going to fall in one place when it hits that particular tooth. Okay? The gears are obviously the same. But what happens is sometimes they don't put the oil pump shaft in the same place. It doesn't really move when you pull it out. If anything, it goes with the distributor. So after realizing it is just ever so slightly different where this hex is compared to that hex. And this one here, the original one, they thought of it, they put a little thing to make it easy to start. So it's not as easy to start. So I'm just, you know, I just lubed up the O-ring, and I'll just put something like that on there. It'll help, you know, a little bit. I can put grease on it or something like that. But now I got to move the oil pump shaft. I got to see if I even reach it from here. I gather I will. Yeah, that's actually not that far down. Sometimes it's a little scary doing this because you could drop the things. Sometimes you want to tape the socket onto the extension. So just a little trick. But I got to play with it now to get it in the same place. So I made my mark, you know, over here. I could make better marks, of course, but I know what I'm looking at, so it's not really a big deal. But I know that it was off enough that I had to play with the shaft. And I'll just have to keep playing with it if it's not right until I get it in my spot. I'm not going to check the timing. I don't care. But, you know, there's a way to check the base timing and everything, but I got to try to hook up a scanner to this thing. So I'm just going to try to get it right back where it was and just leave it like that. And I should be fine. It basically won't start. It won't highlight. It won't do what it did before. And I'm hoping it'll run better with the tune-up and whatever. But for the most part, it ran pretty good, and I don't have to worry about timing and nothing like that, so it should be okay. Every one of these Fords, you should put this in the glove box. It's an ignition tool. Like I said, I took off the coil with it, but it also removes this guy over here, you know. So I have a new one of these. I could save that one, because I was going to just toss it, because this I bought brand new. Even if it's cheap, it is what it is. But I have a new one in the box there. It's a cheap Ultra Power one. But I might even save the original one off here and just have it in the car just in case, because you never know. It's brand new, made in China, you never know, you know. So, but always good to have a module or two and the module tool, because then it could be done on the side of the road without too much issue, other than just needing like to take off this, you know, maybe the hose is in the way. Probably not though. Sometimes you can't get the tool in there, you know. Also good to have the half-inch wrench, I believe, or 13mm wrench to turn this in case it's too tight to turn with just a thumb screw. All right, just a little thing I want to share. All right, so basically, I lined up that scrape mark right there, which is, where am I? I'm looking straight on top. You can see I made a, you really can't. Really hard to tell what I did here. I can see without it, but maybe the torches are on. I should like this. Okay, I think you can see the thing there better. And it's actually off a slight bit. So right there, looking straight on, I made a mark like that. And the rotor was just slightly over to that side. So that should be right. And also at the same time, if you look at the distributor, this is very perpendicular to the engine. This bolt goes off to the side. But you can make all like little crazy, you know, points that I had it right here and this and that. You know, here's another one that was right next to the clamp too. I should have paid attention to that, but I would have known, you know, that something was wrong if I keep playing with it. But it should be correct right there. I remember it being just off to the side there, and in the end, distribute straight on. You know, totally. This line is perpendicular to that, staring right at this little tape here, and perfectly perpendicular with the rest of the engine. You know, so let's see how much I can get done before it gets dark. And this thing should be running maybe by tomorrow. And I got to do a couple other things to it too, but I don't know when I'll have time. But yeah, I'll see what happens. So I just want to show you that I buy cheap stuff because I have so many cars. I spend a ton of money anyway, you know. But as you can see, I'm going to show you something with these oxygen sensors. This is before they had the dual oxygen sensors on each side. There's just one on each side. Okay, they're heated O2 sensors. You know, it looks typical. And you see some of them will have the arrow pointing, you know, like these tabs here, where it only fits one way. And you know, I can't say that I haven't done this in the past. I've cut these off to use them, and they work. And other times it hasn't worked. So I don't know what the difference is, unless it's the placing of these things. But these aftermarket ones, and like I said, I bought it, you know, cheap, you know, and it's pretty easy to change. I'm not really worried. And they're much longer, you know, so that's usually what you get. Sometimes it's a pain in the neck to be longer. But just to let you know, they're the kind of universal style, you know, where there is no tab, you know. So you hope that they work. You hope there's no issue, you know. They seem fine. And I don't think there were many different, you know, style of O2 sensors back then. It's just a matter of the length of the wire. You know, you can tie it up. You can just find a place for it. It's usually not a big deal. So just letting you know that not all of them are created equal. It's usually the sensor itself that could be bad or just not made for the car. And I had no good experience with this with Dodges when they, except for the standard brand. There's a certain brand and it's like almost like an even number, and like for the Jeep Liberties and stuff like that, they work for the front and the rear. But on my big Dodge truck, I have a Hemi truck, that they only would work in the rear, not in the front. And they were missing the tabs. They plugged into either one, you know, because it says front or rear. And other times I try to find the right ones, and they still come like this. You know, like it depends what you buy on eBay. like I said, I'm always fucking frugal, and it's not always the best way to be. But I just have so many cars. I dump so much money into stuff, but I do like have to repeat buy or something like the return shit, you know. So don't you know, like I would suggest buy. There are some better brands, like Denso is good. You know, I like the standard brand for some, and like other guys, I hate the standard, you know. But Denso has always been pretty good. But Bosch, it's like, you know, hit or miss. It's almost like the Bosch that you buy in AutoZone is actually good, and the Bosch that's cheap online is not so good. You know, it's funny how that works. You know, it's like the bulk ones or something like that. So that being said, I just wanted to lay that on you, you know, and give you some kind of perspective, and you can make your own decision when you buy parts. Getting close to getting dark. Thank God for daylight savings, but I got to put this stuff back together here, and I got to put oil in it because I drained the oil and did the oil filter. But I was very careful, and I did all the spark plug wires really nice in all of the original spots that go underneath. As you can see it, I'm kind of hanging over here. But even got the rubber boot back on. So far, so good. It's nice to have an easy car to work on, I tell you. It's really not that bad. The thermostat threw me off, but, you know, no big deal. Alrighty, so I got everything all together. I changed the oil, the car's down, everything's connected over here. Gonna fire it up first time since I did all this, and usually when you do a tune-up, it usually stalls, and then it'll like figure it out because the computer is like in a different spot, you know, with the wear on the plugs. Although the plugs look like they were changed like not that long ago, but so did the whole tune-up until you really touched it, and the wires are just falling apart. So I think it was done not that long ago, because this car only has 109,000. I got it with 106. So I think somebody had done it, maybe at a, you know, 95,000, but it had no, you know, it saw a lot of years in between then. I got to do the muffler on this, and I got to do the, that's why it's loud. I got to do the muffler, and I got to do the, what do you call it? I got to do the gas filter too with the tune-up here, but that's in the back when I do the spring. I'm going to do the springs and the shocks along with the muffler. But I got a new welder coming in. But start it right up. It really, you know, I spilled a little oil, of course, but it really shouldn't have. Not started, you know. And like I said, I don't think the tune-up parts were bad or out of time or anything like that in reality, you know. I just think that the wires were old, because what happened is I was getting the check engine light on, which very well could have been the O2 sensors. I mean, 109,000 miles, it's about as long as they're going to last. So they would go on and off, and that usually tells you that it's the oxygen sensors. I bought one of those little guys that check the codes on these old Fords. I didn't even bother. I'm just changing that stuff anyway. If I drive it and there's no check engine light, then I'm pretty good. I just ordered new hood struts because it took a while for them to catch up. And same thing is in my glass in the back, so I ordered them today. Yeah, I got to do that muffler. It's loud. And so far so good. This thing is actually, it's definitely smoother. I mean, I can barely feel it on the car. The exhaust is shaking the car more than the engine. Like, it's very, very, very smooth. These were great engines. Let me tell you, even the earlier versions, I remember as a kid, I did a Ford Taurus engine, you know, and I remember like the rack and pinion is a huge job on this car. Like, it's a pain in the ass to really get to it. That's one of the things that are difficult. Oh, there goes my hood. Come on, I touched it, and so I hate that. I hate when people like don't fix that too, because it can knock you out as a mechanic. It can really make you see stars. Anyhow, you can see the big bolts there for the rack. So when I pulled out the engine, I did the rack, and it was super easy in the car, you know. I actually pulled it out from the engine compartment side. So it was pretty cool to do that back then. That was a long time ago. That was, I want to say like 90, 91, 92. I was either 16, 17, or 18 years old. Probably 18. But this car ran good. It needed an oil change. So typical Ford whine on the power steering. You know, and it looks like it's seeping a bit from that return line. Again, I'm one of those guys that would probably change that whole line. That goes all over the tranny and everything. So I would just change the line. I might even change the pump, because you know it is, if you don't plan to change the pump or at least get a new reservoir, that fucking thing used to break off all the time. I used to, they didn't have a solution for it, you know, that was cheap. You know, somebody pays you to do a power steering return line like that, and then you break it, they're like, it's your fault, you know, that's the way everything was. It was always the mechanic's fault. You can never make any money if you're honest. So now I just know better. I just, you know, and the guy where I bought it from, he got it from the original owner, and he was a mechanic in a mechanic shop. It looks like they changed the belts. He told me they did the water pump, and the water pump, and I guess the belts, because they're not that old. You know, there's the other O2 sensor down there, and I got the wire up here. It goes to that, from the black plug into the white plug there. So I wrapped it up a little bit, you know, I just routed it up and around. But I'm very happy with the way this is. I'm trying to listen over it. Almost sounds loud over here too. I hope there's not one of those emission tubes that are leaking. Gee, it's almost like the manifold is leaking. But not like, you know, oh, there might be a flange here. Is it in the front here? Like where I had the O2 sensor right there is like a flange. Got a little smoke over here. Oh, but that's because I spilled antifreeze. Oh, that right. I gotta change the I gotta add antifreeze to this. All right, so let me add the antifreeze. It sounds like I do have a leak up here too. I don't know if it's, sometimes these emission pipes, they make noise, but I have a feeling it's just right there, that flange. I don't necessarily feel it, but where's the throttle? It doesn't sound that bad. I really wonder if I wonder if somebody hollowed out the catalytic converter, or it just sounds different because the muffler is very, very loud. Or maybe it's just echoing under the car, and I mean, it's not leaking in the drop from the muffler. Wherever it is, it's around here. Yeah, right there. So it's sealed up, but the guts is, I probably lost all the fiberglass probably shot out the back, so who knows. So I got some smoke here. I think that's from the antifreeze and everything that dripped. Yeah, it's all wet down there. It went everywhere. But I got to add antifreeze. So anyway, thanks for watching. So far, this is a success. It's a thorn on my side I've been wanting to get done, and it was very easy. I don't know why I put my own stuff off so long, but I'm glad it's done. And then I'll get to doing the springs and the muffler and the fuel filter. And eventually I want to do the master cylinder and the booster. But that's another day when I have help. But so far so good, I'm happy. Thanks for watching. So, I question the rest of the exhaust system now, but I guess I'll look at it at the time. Maybe just easier to order the whole thing. That way I don't have to cut and weld, I just bolt it all together. I made this other video because, although it's running really good, I'm trying to see if I unplug something, because I'm like, wow, look, it's running good, and I don't recall unplugging anything, and I may have to get the code reader now, because either those oxygen sensors are no good and not meant for this, which would piss me off, because these people who sell the shit on eBay, they suck sometimes, or I forgot something, so I gotta get that code reader and play with it and see what I can do, because that's, that light just came right on where it was coming on and off, you know. It's funny how you can't see it on the phone. Maybe if oh, there we go. Oh well, it's still successful. I don't care what anybody says. It really runs good now, you know. It was running fairly well, but it was, I know the tune-up was messed up. But, oh well. I guess I'm going to have to figure this out. Oh well. Thanks for watching.